I'm driving to work and I'm listening to why John Kasich should drop out. You know, everybody's saying John should drop out, and all I can think of is a guy seems like a pretty nice guy. You know, how's he doing?
He is a wonderful guy.
He is a wonderful guy.
You
know him, right?
I live in the D.C. area. I used to actually on Social Security. I used to testify before his committee.
Really?
He's an old rock and roller. He's that kind of funky boomer youth minister, you know. He just would reach out and hug you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Gen Xers just really don't get along.
I don't want to be hugged by a guy that's my dad's age.
Yeah. He's still in the race. He has one very simple argument, that head on head, he runs better against Clinton than any other Republican candidate.
Probably true. Yeah.
It's probably true, or at least, you know, looking at the polls today, it's true. That's his one argument. Obviously, he's going to have, hardly any delegates. He's counting on a brokered convention. Mm-hmm. You saw Trump yesterday making the argument that they ought to go just with whoever has the most delegates. Yep. Obviously, you'd think that was his argument. I remember 2 weeks ago on the show, I was saying that Trump was going to run against Hillary from the left, you know, on the economy. And that's been picked out. I don't know if you've seen it. Increasing number of people are writing about that.
Yeah.
And we saw in his interview with the Washington Post, he may also run to the left of Hillary on foreign affairs. I don't know if you saw. He said, why are we in NATO?
Yeah.
Why are we in East Asia? He's in foreign policy. He's something we haven't seen in a long time. He's a Jacksonian, you know, basically isolationist, but from a conservative view. There are two versions of isolationism, right? The left is isolationist because they don't want America to infect the world, right? America does horrible things, so we should leave the rest of the world alone. Mm-hmm. The right is isolationist because they don't want the world to infect America. Think about that. Very different motive. We saw that with President Jackson, who, you know, and we still refer to a Jacksonian leader as isolationist, but mess with us, we got a big stick, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Part
of the Donald.
Say.
Right.
That's his foreign policy part. Anyway. Look, Trump is the most interesting and newest thing on the scene politically in America today. There's no question about that. I mean, he cuts across parties in a way that's disorienting for both establishments today. Both the Democrats and the Republicans are panicked. Not because they claim they're panicked because they think Trump is going to lose huge in the fall. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I think they're really panicked because they see their party may disappear forever. Their party, which is based on conservative values, but free markets, liberalism, openness, and kind of a libertarian philosophy toward, you know, the economy and so on. Trump cuts across that, conservative culturally and politically, and very strong muscular government when it comes to markets. I mean, you know, he's anti-trade, anti-globalism. He's in favor of a lot of these government. That's why I said running against Hillary from the left. This promises, if it works, this promises to destroy the traditional Republican Party, right? It either will lead to a disaster for the Republicans because they're going to lose all of their higher socioeconomic status electorate, and so, you know, you'll have the evangelicals and NASCAR set sort of battling over the remains. You know, that's it. Or it will work and take all of those Reagan Democrats back from Hillary, and you will have this new Trump consensus, and today's Republican establishment will forever be walled out from that consensus. Yeah. Either way, the Republican establishment loses. Both Hillary and Trump have the two highest negatives of any candidate running. Trump's negatives are actually higher than Clinton's, right? On the other hand, Trump has this extremely enthusiastic core base. Hillary doesn't. So it's going to be interesting if they go against each other, and it's going to be one of the most negative, because the only tactic that's going to work in the fall is to blow up the negatives of your opponent, right? So just think about how that's going to work out.
This will be fantastic.
That's definitely not priced into the market.
Looking forward
People
to
don't
it.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Why would you talk about that? That's 6 months away.
It seems that there's like a fact operating today where the lessons of history and the failures and disasters of socialism are ignored and such that Bernie Sanders is lauded. This seems to be an economic issue, or do you think it's a geographic one?
Yeah, this is called generational forgetting. And one of the reasons why, Arnold Toynbee talked about the long cycle of history, why we have our great wars about 80 or 90 years apart. It's because the generation that doesn't remember the last one is in control and takes us into the next one, right? Generational forgetting. The same is true for a lot of other things. Socialism is a good example. Anyone who's, I'd say most Xers, certainly most early wave Xers, and all boomers and any older person, when they think of socialism, they think of the gulag, they think of the killing fields, they think of some of the great, the most horrible eras of the 20th century and episodes of the 20th century. Millennials don't recall any of that. So it's interesting, the valence of the word socialism for millennials is sort of like, it's like when Sarah Palin talked about community organizers. They think, why is she down on community organizers? Any community? Aren't we all in favor of community? I mean, they just don't get it, and so, but this is inevitable generationally. They don't associate socialism. It sounds good. I mean, we're social media. Think about it. It's a good word. We're all networked. What's the matter with that? We're all helping each other. And I think it's important, you could say, okay, it's important for millennials to understand history, which is true. But it's also important for older people, to think a little bit about, their own biases too. I think, I don't hammer younger people. I just as often hammer older people. This is going to be a very interesting year. I actually think this is a political year in which the prospect of the election and its results could actually really influence the market. We don't see that very often, but I think you just look around at the mood of the public, the foreboding, people just don't even want to think about it.